You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Nathan Snell.
I'm going to get my producers for that. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host a Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. I'm touched. I'm really touched. That I'm going to get you guys for that. Okay. No, this is a podcast. This is episode number 425 of the podcast. In this episode, we are talking about the Washington Commanders. I know it's been a couple of weeks since you last saw me. Before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. Thank you, obviously, Mr. Andy, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Eric and AJ, for that. I'm going to get y'all for that. But okay, before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. So as you already have known, it's been a couple of weeks since you last saw me. The last episode was with Brenda Fries, University of Maryland women's basketball head coach. I would like to thank her for coming on the podcast, and I'm taking some time and chatting it up with me. It was really a really fun conversation. I would also like to thank Rose DePaula. It was also for setting it up, who's the communication specialist for the team. That was fun. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, we're doing some real big things for the podcast, and I'm looking forward to where the rest of the where this is going. So I'm really proud of that. Like I said, it was a full circle moment for me for watching somebody that watching basketball for years, and I'm touched. I'm extremely touched by that. So thank you to Coach Fries and for that. But also, as you already see on the screen, yes, it's been an interesting couple weeks for me. I celebrated our 30th birthday. Thank you, producers, for that on that video as well. And that week of the interview, I had a graduation from the University of Maryland Global Campus. I reached out to a couple of friends, so I'm considered a Maryland Terrapin. It has not clicked in yet, so I'm real proud of the work that I've put in, and this is only the beginning. I'm looking forward to what the future brings, and I am ecstatic. So, yes, again, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate the support you're giving me in this channel. I apologize, but again, thank you to the producers for that. And I'm shocked. I'm appalled. I'm starstruck. Also, 426 for recapping the Baltimore Ravens. And last couple weeks, same with this episode. If you've already not seen, we've begun to re-upload episodes on. Now it's no longer called. It's Spotify for podcasters, so you're going to see some episodes uploaded. So I apologize if you see some previous old episodes. We're trying to get caught up in the uploads. I think we last started off like episode 6, season 15. So we're like trying to get there. Somewhere by the end of January, we should have up until where we're at currently, up to date on Spotify. We listen to it, and also on Apple Podcasts as well. I've updated where you can access the links for Maryland Sports Blog, Team MBS Media. Subscribe here. Follow me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, my Twitter, all in the description below. You can definitely follow that as well. Or you can also click on the links somewhere on the video, like whether it's on this corner here or like here. So it's one of these corners on the bottom of the screen. So yeah, we got a lot to get into. And also Maryland women's basketball and men's basketball. Has been a lot of basketball to keep up with for both. And Maryland football is officially over. It's been a couple weeks. Maryland football has been very active with the transfer portal. Mike Locks has done some things. We've seen some players depart for the transfer portal and getting ready for the draft as well. So we'll talk about that. We do have a WNBA mock draft coming up at some point. Stay tuned. This will be the last mock draft for the year. I'm probably going to have like 2 or 3 more, probably 2 more mock drafts because free agency is almost upon us for the WNBA. So I'll be tuning in for that. And that's about all the updates I have for you for the podcast. But I do apologize. I was supposed to upload this past week, but I decided I'm going to take a little bit more time for myself. So also, too, I hope everybody is ready for Christmas. Santa Claus is coming to town. I cannot believe Christmas is right around the corner. December just came by fast. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the kids. It's a very, very great Christmas. Hope everybody does something wonderful, gets some rest. And yeah, we're just going to finish the rest of the year 2024 strong. And I will have a year of review video up last year. I'm going to redeem myself from last year. But this year, I'm definitely going to have a year of review video for you guys. But again, thank you for that video. It's much appreciated. Thank you. So shout out to those. Shout out to AJ and Eric for putting that video up. And shout out to my folks. They're at the graduation. Much appreciated for all the support that they've given me the last couple of years of me persevering and finishing to get to this point. Sean Spencer, shout out to him. He was there. And I appreciate him actually giving me some love on his show as well. Much appreciated. I saw all the love and support I gotten on X and Facebook, so I appreciate that as well. But for me, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. So I'm glad that that's something that I can say you did it. So I'm glad for myself. And like I said, I'm looking forward to see where the next, where the rest of this future goes for me. But that's enough talk about that. We're already 9 minutes into the video. We know why you're here. So I got to recap the last couple weeks for the Washington Commanders. It's been a couple kind of crazy weeks. We had a bye week 14. But before that, we saw the Tennessee Titans. And then that bye week, and then we had the Saints. Just played the Eagles. We'll get to that in a little bit. But we're going to start with the Eagles because I got to get you caught up to what I've seen so far. I'm one of those, especially after a game, I don't right away go into, oh, okay, like I got to make a video. I want to let it marinate, kind of look back at the film you see all the things. Now, I think from the previous game, Washington, I thought they were going to get together. This is a young team. And again, we're playing against a Titans team that I think right now is in the midst of they're rebuilding. The days of A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Mike Vrabel, those guys are gone. So this is kind of it's really trying to find what their identity is. We beat the Tennessee Titans 42-19. To me, the run game was the key in that victory. I think when you looked at the 3 games that we lost, the biggest thing was establishing the run. And when I look, I didn't even look at this game. And respectfully credit Pittsburgh and Philly's defenses respectfully, but a unit that is expected to put up 100 yards or even more struggle to do that against the Steelers and the Eagles. And again, credit their defense. But again, this is a Titans defense that's missing some pieces. Is different. Brian Robinson, his first carry of the season came on the opening on that third drive, 40 yards untouched. Because that's the longest play for a Washington player since 19. I remember correctly, seeing that stat correctly. We finished that game with 267 yards on 45 carries. That's the most since 2012. It wasn't just that. Jaden Daniels, we haven't seen him use his legs as much. But they had 9 carries, 34 yards. Austin Eckler, who is out. Jeremy McNichols, he had 32 yards on 6 carries. Brian Robinson finished, if I remember correctly, it was 103. Chris Robinson had 13 carries for 94 yards, but 12 of those carries came in the fourth quarter. So the run game, you kind of go, well, to me, I can't judge it because it's like, well, you're going against 2 stout defenses, but at the same time, it was like, okay, it's the Titans, but again, there's always a respect you have for your opponents. I'm not trying to downplay it, but it was kind of like, okay. Then the defense, for me, I thought that we probably had the best first halves against Titans, scoring on 3 possessions. The first time we done that since, I want to say it was 2000, remember correctly. And and that's why you didn't really see Tennessee's offense on the field, because you really could not they couldn't find momentum at all. They barely, in that first half, didn't even have the ball in their hand. Prior just to that touchdown going in the second quarter, they had 13 offensive plays, and then five more. I think they had 8 penalties in that whole span of that whole time they possession of the ball. They were held to 1 first down on the first 4 drives, and they had 12 fewest yards. And I'm sitting there going like, by the time I looked at it, 28-0. The game was practically over. The running game, to me, Tony Pollard, 35 yards, 8 carries. That was about it. At the second half, it got better, but the game was over by going to the second half. And then again, also too, like, it's all about how your team responds. And I thought defensively on both sides of the ball, I thought we responded well after within the 3-game losing streak. Our defense, we capitalized on the mistakes. We've prioritized. To me, Dan Quinn's message was prioritizing creating turnovers. And 2 plays after you go 14-0, you had more chance. The ball was right out of Tony Pollard's hands, fumble at the 24, and then again took 3 plays for that 16-yard touchdown. Okay, next Titans drive, the ball fumbles again. I just, when you look at the first 3 weeks of the season, they only forced 1 turnover. They've now forced 1 in the last 9 to 10 games up until this game. So one thing I'm liking is you're seeing improvements. Offensive line did its job. You're seeing others step up for, Austin Eckler. I'm not being a Chris Rodriguez. Everybody, you're just seeing kind of more. It's starting to come together. Now, again, and then also, I'm going to kind of go on my soapbox a little bit about Jaden, because the one thing I wasn't like about the commentary, even after the loss to Philadelphia, people started started throwing the towel, and some of the things like, his injury, and understand. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand, players are not robots. Nobody comes off injuries 100%. It takes gradually improving. Like, yeah, did he look shaky? Yes, but it's all about how you respond. 25 or 30 passes, 3 touchdowns and a pick. That's, compared to the last 3 games, you go, okay, it's something to build off on. But to me, I'm not putting all on Jaden. Cliff Kingsbury, his play calling, made a conscious effort to get Terry McLaurin involved in the game. Something you didn't see within that 3-game losing streak. That's just my opinion. You limited the mistakes. You forced Tennessee to turn the ball over. That's why the score was 42-19. Now, the elephant in the room in that game, Austin Seibert, and one thing I feel bad about is, he was out. He should not have been even playing in that game, but, that's neither here nor there. The week before, you brought in Zayden Gonzalez. He missed 2 field goals in that game. He was 0 for 2. And this is, and you'll hear me say this again as we get into the Saints and even the win against the Eagles. That was something. That was really, really something. So it was a good win for the Commanders, but yeah, that game was, we definitely had some definitely issues. We had to fix on that, but Herndon, credit Washington, that they responded really well. Nick Folk, got to give him a shout out. I think it was that game he had his 400th career field goal. At one point, I was like the number one fantasy kicker in the league. That wasn't this year. I know it was a couple years ago. So shout out to Nick Folk. Congratulations, Mick, on achieving that high mark in that week of the game, of the season. So that happened week 13. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to transition in the week 15 win against those Saints. All right, in week 15, New Orleans Saints, last week, that was something. The final score was 2019. Listen, when you look at the game, it should not have looked like that. It really should not have. I thought the score should have been at least 30-19. We've really have got, I'm using a song by Hall & Oates back in the day, missed opportunities. that should have been the title of this week for that week against the Saints. You know, as great as they failed to, the Saints failed to convert that 2-point conversion at the end of that game, which to me, I would have taken the field goal. But I really wouldn't have been celebrating that win because I'm being honest, we should have lost this game. How many times? Let me give you an example, right? There were at least 3 touchdowns in the second half where Terry McLaurin was wide open. Butterfingers. Give me another example. Greg Joseph missed a 54-yard field goal with a chance to tie the game. Not just that, both sides of the ball. Holding call in the fourth quarter. Brandon St. Juste called for illegal use of hands. Like that, those things can happen. While I'm happy we won the game, no, I'm not giving us that. Respectfully, you know, and again, and also I get it. Each week is Kyle Hamilton said this one time for the Baltimore Ravens. He said each game is a week by week case. The same thing we just talked about against the Titans. Here against the Saints. Here you were. The run game looked exceptional against the Titans, but here you go against. They have the Saints, who have one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. They give up coming into that game was almost 4.8 yards to carry. That's 29th as of coming into this game. And their pass defense has been better. So to me, if I'm game planning, run the ball. But I mean, look at the stats. 71 total yards. That's 3 yards a carry. That's 3 yards per carry. Brian Robinson ran the ball 21 times, 65 yards. I mean, what was the game plan? What were we trying to establish? I'm confused. And on top of that too, Jaden Daniels, these stats, some of these stats we look at this doesn't mean anything to these stats don't reflect how as a unit we could have looked better. Jaden went 25 for 31, 2 touchdowns. Ran the ball, 11 carries, 65 yards. 6 yards. I mean, that's fine. But I mean, to me, like when you go up against, to me, like there was a couple of times where there was 2 touchdowns he missed to Terry McLaurin. There were, and again, I think those are both on Jaden, but hindsight is 2020. But also to the offensive line, that didn't help. And then also too, like I need to kind of get an understanding of kind of roughing the passer. And he was taking some hits. He was. I mean, that front four, I mean, they were pounding him into the ground. And that didn't help. But that doesn't help. And sure, there was some moments where the offensive line looked good, but 8 sacks you allowed. 8 sacks. And 2 of them were against the number 1 off pick, Chase Young. Like I watched, looking back at the film, missed blocks, just didn't look good. I don't know if it was just the scheme. I don't know what they did, but I mean, they created schemes where you just was like, damn. And again, we have some guys out, but no excuse. It's next man up mentality. And then again, I'm looking at their defense. Our defense has got to step up. We've praised them, and we can criticize, we can critique, and we can also praise. Listen, Derek Carr's not out there. He's out. Jake Hanner, God bless him. Just no. He completed 410 of his passes, 49 yards. No. Spencer Rattler came in the third quarter, 10 of 21, 134 yards and a touchdown. But when you looked, South Carolina's finest, he was the energizer buzzy. He did that. He energized that offense. And I mean, I watched it defensively. We did not make adjustments where we're just letting them march down the field, especially in that final drive where we almost lost the game. And I'm sitting there going like, what am I watching? Now, starting Spencer Rattler, I don't know. Hindsight could be 20/20. But I mean, that was in that second half defensively, that was just awful defense to watch. That was extremely poor. And again, my last point is the officiating. I'm not going to sit here on this podcast. I've been very firm, and I think I've been very moderate on this position. I'm all for consistency. We know this. We know the officiating is not consistent. I think we all can agree that there needs to be consistency, but I'm not going to sit here and whine, bitch, and moan about the officiating. The officiating is not going to change. Each officiating group is different. If officiating crew A says that's holding, officiating crew B may say otherwise. C may just let it go. Everyone's different. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go, example, the clock when at the last point, when they're trying to spike the ball, they still had time to get line, but they did it with 3 seconds left in the game. Refs knew they blew that to me. But I mean, to me, it was for that 9-second mark, that third last play. How? I mean, inconsistency when it came to secondary. I mean, holding calls. But I mean, you've got to be consistent with the officiating calls. And respectfully, the league does not do any justice when you come out the next day, and even that same time and say, yeah, we missed that call. No. I don't like that. And then in fairness also too, like if I was New Orleans, I'd win for 2. I would not have gone for. I would take the field goal, going to overtime. The momentum was was in your hands. I get it. I'd have gone for it, and I wish they did say that last time out. But again, it happens. But also too for Jake Hanner in context match, he got injured. His first NFL starting lasted 30 minutes, and again, Spencer Rattler, I know he got opportunity to start. He struggled, but I mean, it was good. To me, injuries have also plagued the Saints. Alvin Kamara, he was hurt. He got hurt in this game. He was out with a groin injury. Kendre Miller, he has been looking really good. He has been improving week by week. He has proven that he can be a reliable number 2, number 1 running back when needed. I mean, he is somebody who can take pressure off Alvin Kamara when he needs to. And we saw that in this game. So, yeah. But other than that, I mean, the Saints has got to be better to me on both sides of the ball. We got to convert better on third downs. I think they were 3 of 11. They were 1-on-1 on fourth down. Defensively, they allowed 9 third down conversions. They allowed 1 fourth down conversion. But they've got to figure out when in closing moments of the game how to be better. And that's what I'm talking about the game personally. So outside of that, that was pretty much it. I would like to see Chris Rodriguez get an opportunity. I mean, I get it. With Brian Robinson Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, but Brian Robinson, he didn't look that great. God bless him, but I would give him a chance. And also too, we didn't have our guy Mr. Tyler Valdez. He was out with injury, so I mean the run blocking. Don't get me started with that. That was something. So taking those into consideration, and again, outside of that, the kicking, 7 kickers, we still have a kicking issue. I just want to say that there was a young man that graduated from the University of Maryland College Park. He was cut by the New England Patriots. Now is now with the Arizona Cardinals. His name was Chad Ryland, and he's actually doing great things for the Cardinals. So there was somebody in your backyard that you could have signed, but that's just me. So, but interesting. So that happened in the Saints game. Lastly, we had to talk about this game right here, but we're going to do it with a quick commercial break. All right. So the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles this past Sunday had what I thought was a great game. And for me, this was a great response to the loss a couple weeks ago. And Washington stunned the Philadelphia Eagles in a comeback. The final score was 36-33. Obviously, you know how I feel about divisional rival games. I think they're always important. I think when you're playing against a divisional opponent, especially when you're playing in front of family, friends, give you that extra confidence. And to me, I feel this is a must-win for Washington, especially from a confidence. And I think also too, I think the way things have been in Philadelphia. I know it's kind of late to the party, but I'm gonna saying my thoughts on. I'm going to kind of touch on that a little bit. To me, from me, like. This is their first defeat for the Eagles since week 4. Jaden Daniels, to me, is clearly Offensive Rookie of the Year, without a shadow of a doubt. I've always felt he was Rookie of the Year. The one thing I don't like, one thing that bothers me, right, is this is not direct to Commander fans. This is this is sports fans in general. One thing I don't like is when a team or a player struggles. I call it fair weather. Where we kind of are like when you go up a roller coaster, and it's like, oh no, that's okay. Like everybody kind of like panics or kind of worries. It's like, oh my gosh, like blah blah blah, and like to me, especially when you're beating a divisional rival, it's like again. I'll give you an example. When the Washington beat Cincinnati, everybody out the woodworks was like, Jaden is MVP, better than Lamar Jackson, blah, 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 blah. Same thing when I'm like, well, where was this last 3 games? people were kind of going like, I don't know. It's not looking too good. And, ooh, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of fair weather fans. When a team is struggling, support them regardless of the situation. Jaden, to me, I told you, if you watched the video a couple weeks ago, I said he was going to be fine. He wasn't perfect against Philadelphia. He had 2 turnovers, but it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. 339 total yards, 5 touchdowns. The first rookie quarterback in franchise history to do that. The 6th rookie in NFL history to accomplish that. But it's, to me, where he kept the drives going with his arm or scrambling with his feet. That 4th and 11 with a 29-yard run in the third quarter. Brian Robinson on that 8-yard pickup, or the game-winning touchdown, which, by the way, that should have been a false start. The Jamison Crowder, okay, because he's the first rookie to throw 5 touchdowns, 65 yards in a game. I think he's the 5th and the first to do that at least in a single game. So you got to give Jaden that credit. That's definitely most improved player. Rookie of the year, not a shot of a doubt, hands down. That is definitely, we talk about. I might catch some flack for this. We talk about the Monday Night Miracle comeback with many years ago with Santet and Moss, those guys. This is going to go down as one of the best moments. As Commanders fan, Redskins fans, whatever you want to call it. For me, this should definitely be somewhere in the top 15, top 20, somewhere. But the Monday Night Miracle, that's always going to be number one, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. That's definitely one of us going to be number one. But to me, if you watched all afternoon, they were in a hole that, again, self-inflicted. Because of why? 5 turnovers offensively. That's where one of my negatives. And 2 of those turnovers were Jaden Daniels. 2 of those passes were to Christian McCaffrey's younger brother, Luke McCaffrey. Apple turnovers. And which that would have been disastrous. And the second came in the 4th quarter. Luckily, had not been Mr. Devontae Smith, he dropped that pass, and then Jake Elliott to kick the field goal. That, to me, would have been the game. Okay? Brian Robinson, who I don't think we've had issues with ball security. I really kind of like last couple now coming in past this game, like, Mr. Robinson, are you okay? Like, what's going on? On the first play in the second drive, he fumbled the ball. And he fumbled again in the second quarter.
Hell no.
That can't happen. And I think the frustrating part is that eliminated all the momentum you had, and it was at their own 10-yard line. Dami Brown, who had a 51-yard reception, he coughed up the ball. The ball came loose on the open session of the third quarter and gave him field goal possession, which had him up, took him to the field goal. We overcame that, but that's something we're going to have to clear these last 2 games. Again, those things cannot happen. We talked about defensively. You have to be consistent all 4 quarters, but it's more of a bend but don't break. But to me, we've shown up in the first half. We're playing well, but in the second half, we kind of go away. We go from bend to kind of start. We break. Now, when you're down in the first quarter, 21-7 after allowing Mr. Saquon Barkley run for 68 yards. Saquon had 150 yards on the day, which that doesn't tell you the full story, because the next 3 quarters we kept him in check for 41 yards. Next 3 quarters. And if you look offensively, Philadelphia's kept in check. Now, let's not forget, Jalen Hurts went out with an injury. Those next 3 drives were all punts, just 63 yards on 10 plays. They did get in the field goal range in the first half because that's what's on Jaden Daniels. I mean, they put up more points in the second half, but they were limited to 4 field goals. When they offensively, this is where, okay, this is why Jalen Hurts is an impactful player. It doesn't matter if he was passing the ball or not. And even, okay, when you've got others in the locker room publicly saying it's your quarterback and not upset, not getting targets. Well, where were you when I needed you? But but we move because obviously they had to put in Kenny Pickett, and the first 2 drives were stalled because of sacks from Johnny Newton and Dante Fowler, and even Kenny Pickett, he was limited to 143 yards and 24 attempts. I mean, Philadelphia has a great offensive weapons, but without you listen, you can have you can have the best orchestra in the world, but if you don't have a conductor leading it, it don't mean anything. And even if those weapons, okay, especially when you go in front of a camera and complain about not getting the ball, should have found ways to say, guys, we got this. Didn't see that, but that's okay. The others for Washington stepped up. I have to give that as a positive. The role players stepped up, especially, listen, Terry McLaurin, I think, will be a Pro Bowler without a shadow of a doubt. Jamison Crowder, he's coming off the injury reserve for most of the season. God bless him. Caught 2 passes, both were touchdowns, scoring the game winner. So you look for that. Olamide Zacharias had to wait till this past week to get his first touchdown of the season, but he kept up that 11 play drive. And then also that diving catch in 3rd and 2. So I mean, not having Austin Eckler, Noah Brown, others stepped up. That's what I want to see. Now, also too, when you look at Washington right now, I from where I was, I said, I can't remember. I mean, I said I believe Washington was going to have a winning record. Now they have 10 wins since 2012, and now they're in confirmed control of the 7th seed. I think they can get back. They haven't, from what I saw, I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, the first time since obviously the pandemic, 2020. But I think a lot of people, especially on the outside, was not expecting Washington make playoffs. But it's even a better and brighter day when that team in Dallas is not in the postseason.
Mediocre team and Big D. That's what makes this funny. How about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? Some way, somehow, when they count, just wait. They will let you down. The accident, they will mess it up. Just wait. The accident, they will let you down. Just wait. The accident, the accident, the accident, waiting to happen. It will happen.
Let me get off that. But no, it's I woke up yesterday like the Dallas Cowboys are eliminated from the playoffs. So that brought joy to my heart, and knowing that the Washington Commanders have won 10 games and can make the playoffs, that is a great day for the DMV. It's even going to be even a better day when we talk about episode 426. So, but I mean, listen, I mean, you gave them social breathing room and you beat up one of the best teams in the league. I still think they control their own destiny as long as they, to me, Washington just has to clean up the mistakes, and I think they'll be fine. Now, they're going to be against Atlanta. That's going to be interesting to see how they look because especially we flexed that game into a Sunday Night Football. So I'm curious to see how that will look. To me, if you win, depending on improving the seeding, the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota. That should be a game because that should be interesting to watch. But Falcons right now with the whole quarterback controversy. I'm not too fond of them benching Kirk Cousins, but I'm not really too fond of hearing that they want to cut him. I think that's a little. I'm not fond of that, especially when you paid the guy. But let me get off that. I'm not going to really get into much on that. I'm just going to say, let me just say it this way. I find it laughable that an NFL owner would make a statement essentially when he had an opportunity to get a quarterback, when a quarterback requested a trade, and essentially said, well, I think you're a good quarterback, but I'm not trading for you. And here you go, especially those comments you made, and now here it is, you paid Kirk Cousins and you benched him for Michael Penix Jr. Mind you, this was somebody who was coming off an Achilles injury. And your decision about not pursuing him, but your response when you didn't pursue this quarterback last year, if I remember correctly, and I quote, I'm not going to say the player's name, but essentially saying he was one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Looking at it objectively, I'd say there's concerns in how long he can play his style of game. Hopefully a long time. Something along the lines of he missed 5 or 6 games in the last 2 years each. Each game counts a lot in our business. But you paid a guy who tore his Achilles. Does that make sense? And you know what? While we're on it, and we're going to get to the Eagles, but we're playing the Falcons. And I'm talking about it because we don't know who's going to be the starter next for that game. But I just find it's laughable because those comments have now come to bite him in the ass as an owner. Because now look, and in fairness, context matters on those last 2 years. The year before, he suffered the exact same injury Robert Griffin III suffered. Meanwhile, you had former NFL players on national TV questioning his injury and saying, well, why can't he play? And advocating that he quit on his team. Well, why wasn't he out with the team when we were playing Cincinnati for that play in that playoff game? That was weird. And then, if I remember correctly, the same thing. He's had injuries, but they were not like an Achilles. So, are you not like? Anywho, I'm gonna leave it alone, but that's okay. That's Michael Penix did okay in his debut against the Giants. If it wasn't for Kyle Pitts literally tossing the ball to a defender, I think the Falcons should have won. That wouldn't have happened, but Penix played okay. This right now just a mess in Atlanta. But let's get off that. So on the Philadelphia Eagles side, I thought the defense did okay for them. I apologize for going on that tangent. I had to get it off my chest because that really bothered me. All the offense for Philadelphia, they didn't finish games. To me, you got to be able to close it out. Again, not having Jalen Hurts suffer a concussion in the first quarter, I thought that definitely hurt them. And again, I don't know what was going to happen. They had one final possession. They made them pay. It's a false start. We got to wait for that. We got to wait with that. There should have been a false start. That's just me. You allowed Washington to put up points in the second half. You lost CJ Gardner-Johnson, who was ejected for 2 like penalties. I did not like that. I thought that was kind of bogus. I thought he should have just got the one. He should have been ejected. I thought Washington got away with that. Just being honest. We just scored on 3 and 4th possessions, and that can't happen. Took advantage of the big 4th down, stop early, took advantage. defense came up big for you guys. And give Kenny Pickett credit. I know Kenny Pickett gets a lot of flack. We've seen what it was in Pittsburgh. But I mean, he didn't play great, but he entered the game to me. I think when you it's bad timing. I'm just going to say it like that. I mean, he faced him. I mean, they struggled to put the football in the end zone, make 3 of 16 on third downs, 2 of 4 in the red zone. I mean, Saquon was holding check 3 quarters, as I stated earlier. I mean, 14 to 24, 143 yards, a touchdown, interception. I mean, yeah. So, other than that, struggled to get. And they didn't score in the first quarter. I mean, they didn't score in the first quarter. They were able to score in the first quarter because that was something they struggled with the whole much of the season. So, yeah. But I mean, also too, when I look at the Eagles, I think the Eagles are a great team. There's just some things with the Eagles that I've seen that just, I'm like, what am I looking at here? But yeah. So, it is what it is. But they'll be fine. I thought the Eagles are going to be a legit threat on the NFC, but Eagles can't. It's also just self-inflicted for them. When it mattered, tell it 2 halves. And you just got to recover. So, yeah. And also, too, Marshawn Lattimore, he didn't really have a good day. But again, he's coming off an injury. He injured the game. He didn't come back. So, Brandon St. Juste, who replaced him, yeah. So that was something. But that was pretty much what happened in the game. It was a good win for the Commanders. So we're getting ready for those Falcons. It's a flex game, Sunday Night Football. So let's get ready for it. So that was Christmas present number 1 for me. So I was very excited for that. Let's get into one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
One final thought is, I just obviously thank you to AJ and Eric for playing that video. It means a lot. Just taking a moment just to show gratitude. It's not about how you start; it's how you finish. And I'm proud of the journey of finishing something that I started. When I look back on some things, could I have done some things better? Yes. But I think that's something I think in life everyone does reflect. So if anything, my one final thought is appreciate the things that have occurred in your life. I don't care if it's a promotion. I don't care if it's something that has helping you along the way, and take pride in that. And that's going to go with you for the rest of your life. So taking something like this, that can't be taken away. But when you that promotion, new car, new house, new job opportunity, you take a moment to just reflect on that. And you just, okay, what's next? And you let people know now, okay, this is now starting something great. So again, very excited. Cannot wait. Know what the future brings for me. And again, it's everybody's journey is different, and that's not just with school. That's with life, period. And sometimes I think we have to kind of understand that. I think sometimes I was having this conversation with my pastor Sunday, and it's when one door closes, many others will open. It's seeing like being what he can do for you. And I'm just really thankful for that. And again, my family was there, much appreciate the support. My third grade teacher was there. Love the much appreciate the support. Sean Spencer again, ecstatic. But again, this is just the beginning. I'm looking forward to the future. And again, you take it day by day. You just appreciate it. And I'm telling you, everything as a funk band in the 80s, and a song once at the end of the song, the lead singer says, "In time, everything's going to be all right." So that's my one final thought. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you are all staying safe. Be careful out there. Lastly, I have to send my thoughts and prayers. What happened in Wisconsin, if I remember correctly, there was a school shooting. Send my thoughts and prayers to those affected. It was at the Abundant Life Christian School. Happened on the 16th. Thoughts and prayers to to those families. That really, when I heard that, it just before the holidays, it just makes you take a moment to just appreciate that how precious life is, and never take it for granted. And I'm very again, my thoughts and prayers for those families, but we really have to be better in addressing a lot of these issues, and I'm not going to get all to that, but it's frustrating that that happened, and it's disappointing that again before the holidays, and it's like sometimes it's like, man, it's frustrating. But again, just continue to pray for those families, and other than that, just stay safe, spend time with your loved ones, continue to just reach out to those, hug them, tell them you love them. Because again, tomorrow's never promised, but I hope each and every one of you have a safe, happy, Merry Christmas, and take an opportunity to reflect on this holiday season as well. Reflect on it, but be safe, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good night. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.